Welcoming a newborn can be challenging for a family, but imagine the very unique stresses of expecting twins, triplets, or more into your family. Welcome to Woman2Woman today, where we're having intimate conversations with local women while learning something new that educates and inspires us. I'm your host, Jen Maseda, and on today's show, we'll be speaking with Emily Lindblad, a mother of triplets who's experienced firsthand the lack of guidance and understanding that many families of multiples encounter. It's because of that experience that Emily created Three Birds, a family education and postpartum care resource for families of multiples. Thanks for being with us, Emily.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
So tell us the definition of multiples, if you would.
Sure. If a family has multiples, they have two or more infants at the same time, whether it's biologically or through adoption.
Okay, so that makes sense, multiples. And you created this amazing resource because you found that there really weren't these resources available to families that obviously are dealing with very different stressors than bringing home one child. They're bringing home many children.
Yeah, that's right. When I was pregnant with triplets, we were kind of trying to figure out what we were going to do, what was going to happen. And we actually contacted a local parenting resource that is now defunct, but it was kind of the top one in Boston at the time. And they had a preparing for multiples class, and we were really excited. We're like, yes, these are people that are going to tell us, how we're going to do this.
Sure.
And we showed up, and we were the only family expecting triplets in the class. And everyone, including the instructor, when we introduced ourselves, just said, well, what are you going to do? And I said,
You're supposed to tell
me that.
Oh, no.
And so that kind of defined our immediate postpartum experience.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was definitely scary.
Sure. So were multiples in your family? And not to get into too much personal history, but I feel as though if there were some history within your family, maybe that knowledge can sort of come down to the new families that are dealing with some of the same issues.
No, multiples aren't in our family.
Okay.
We were lucky enough to be put in contact when I want to say my kids were about 6 months old with a couple of local families who had older multiples, and they were really helpful.
Perfect.
But it was frustrating not only for us, but also for our family who really wanted to be there and wanted to help, but they just didn't even have the answers.
Right.
What kind of stroller is the best for 3 kids? Well, my mother-in-law is phenomenal, but she's never rented the store. She doesn't know.
Right. Right. And they don't come with a handbook.
No, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately, yeah, no. Yeah. So a lot of people are bringing home multiples now for many medical reasons. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the demographic and the percentage increase over the course of the last 15, 20 years.
It actually goes back to the 80s. There's been a large spike kind of nationwide.
Okay.
Until 2014, the numbers were increasing. They've started to actually go back down for higher order multiples. And part of that is because assistive reproductive technologies have gotten a little bit more refined.
Okay.
But Massachusetts is still one of the top 3 states in the entire country that has an incidence of twinning or higher order multiples compared to the population. And there are a couple different reasons. One is if you do need assistance, Massachusetts is one of the only states that covers fertility treatments or infertility procedures. Yep. And also we have an older population of mothers, and that there's been some indications that either end of the spectrum, either really young mothers because of the hormones that their body has, and really, not really old, but older,
nice.
Older mothers.
What, like 45? You better not say
No,
that.
not 45. No, but older mothers have a higher chance of spontaneously conceiving higher order. So Massachusetts kind of has all of that.
Wow. This is a really special topic for us, and we're so glad that you're able to come and share that. There are some sensitive aspects of multiples. One of them you and I had discussed. What's the prevalence of any kind of depression or mental health issues that happen because of multiples in your family?
Unfortunately, it is a little bit higher than kind of your typical parenting experience, although the numbers, across the board, 1 in 7 mothers is estimated to experience some sort of perinatal mood disorder. If you have multiples due to the hormonal
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Due to the hormonal
Fluctuations. That's a tough word.
Not even. Due to the rapid drop of hormones after
right.
birth, is it even higher risk? Also, a high-stress pregnancy puts you at higher risk.
Right.
A NICU stay puts you at higher risk. And with a lot of parents of multiples, that's kind of the perfect storm. They have all of that going on.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you're beyond sleep deprived, and you're taking care of 3 potentially medically fragile infants. So, the last thing you're going to do is think to take care of yourself.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but that's where people like myself, and we have some really excellent statewide programs and national and international programs that are working to educate kind of the general public on ways that you can recognize a mom who might be in need of help, and ways for the moms themselves to kind of start to think, well, maybe, this isn't just me. Maybe I do need to talk to somebody. So hopefully more people are getting the help that they need.
Yeah, and they should be getting referrals from their pediatricians, because essentially they're discovering who the doctor is. Are they not getting referrals from their medical providers and their OBGYNs? And
it depends on pediatricians. Some are trained to recognize signs of a potential issue with a mom. Some are not. Some, for instance, if you're bringing in 3 preemies, they're going to be focusing on that.
Right.
And the same thing with OBs. When you go to your postpartum follow-up, you are typically seen, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, and then, we'll see you next year for your typical checkup. And there's a lot that can happen
in 1 year. Yes. All right. So you have your multiples. You have 3 car seats now.
We had to buy a new car.
Of course, right. So you're bringing the multiples home. Tell me about the services too that you provide, because we had a doula for our first child, and that was so instrumental in having a healthy child the way that we wanted to have the child. So tell us about, when should families call you? Not when they're giving birth, but prior to that, right?
Prior to that, ideally. I like to work with families before they even have to, contemplate looking at 3 babies.
Because there's a birth plan. You help them.
Well, I don't actually do birth work myself. Okay. My kids aren't old enough quite yet where I can just be like, okay, bye.
I gotta go.
I don't know when I'm going to be back. Hopefully somewhere down the line I'll be able to add that in.
Okay.
But right now it's a lot of prenatal planning, kind of setting in the structures in place that'll make the postpartum period a little bit easier.
Okay.
And then once the babies are born, either supporting the family if the children are in the NICU, supporting them at home. I do a lot of overnights. That's really popular. Even if it's just 2 nights a week, if you can sleep, you can conquer the world the next day.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's a godsend for sure. So you're going to give us a quick demonstration of how, and you're going to help me to show as well. We have some beautiful babies here today. So you want to pass me a couple of babies, and you're going to show us what you would typically suggest to a family of multiples. You're going to give me 2, 3? How many are you going to give me?
How many do I start with?
You know what? You brought home 3. Just let me show exactly how challenging it is.
Well, first of all, it's hard just to hold them.
Okay.
When they're tiny, you can kind of stack 2.
Okay. Well, so this is easy because
you've got 2 hands.
They're dolls. And they're not moving.
They're not moving.
And they're not screaming in my ear right now. So what do you typically say to a family?
For
good luck. No.
I say you're going to be okay.
Okay.
Because everybody else is saying good luck.
Because everybody else is saying good luck. Right? That all of this is normal.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
You will survive. All right, so now what do you do, essentially?
So let's say everybody needs to eat.
Yes.
Now, a lot of it depends on if you're breastfeeding, if you're bottle feeding, if you're doing a combination, if you have helpers. Helpers are fantastic. If you don't and you're solo.
Right.
So why don't we start with kind of worst case scenario.
Okay, worst case. I'm all by myself.
You're by yourself.
Yes.
You've got, how many do you want to start with?
I have 3.
You've got 3 babies.
Yes,
Are you
I do.
breastfeeding or bottle feeding?
I'm going to bottle feed at this point.
Okay. How about I demo this because you're in a dress?
Okay.
So usually you would be on a bed or, on the floor somewhere comfy.
Okay.
So there are a couple ways to do this. So we sit crisscross.
Yeah.
When they're really small, you can tuck one baby in here.
Okay.
One baby in here. Baby number 3 can either be here,
okay,
or you can set up a third station with a boppy or some other, newborn prop close by. This way works a little bit better just so you can rotate out.
I see.
Then you get your bottles. Now, one of the things to kind of look for if you are going to be trying to feed multiple babies at the same time is bottles that you can hold comfortably in one hand.
Smaller, right.
So, I mean, it totally
that
depends,
makes
the
sense.
size of
Right.
the person.
Yes.
But there we go. Everybody's
Wow.
there. Everybody's
Right.
eating.
It never works like that, though, does it?
I mean, hopefully no one's too wiggly.
Right.
You run into the problem if one of them has to burp, then you have to put all the bottles down. Everybody gets cranky because where did the food go?
What just happened? All right, that's awesome.
But you can also do a similar setup if you are breastfeeding. So you've got two with the bottles. So you're doing a rotation.
Right. And then you kind of do a football there you go.
Tuck number 3 right there.
There you go. That's incredible. All right.
You gotta lots of little tips and tricks.
That is such a great tip because you wouldn't know that. Right? I mean, you don't go home knowing how to breastfeed just one child. So I can't imagine 3 children.
There's a lot of learning as you go,
Yes.
which can be definitely frustrating.
Yeah.
But
you are there to enlighten families and to make sure that they know that there's a resource available to them. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Emily will show us just what it takes to soothe and manage multiples to reduce our stress and anxiety. So keep watching.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education. What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills, the smarts.
Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Don't worry, the 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome,
I think we're breathtaking.
and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that Bran? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together.
Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
Welcome back to Woman2Woman today. I'm your host, Jen Maseda. We're here with Emily Lindblad, creator of the amazing resource for families of multiples called 3 Birds. All right, Emily, take us away because right now on our set, there's a basket of babies.
There are babies in a laundry basket.
Yes.
Now, one of the questions that I get asked the most, aside from the usual, how do you diaper 3 babies? How do you feed 3 babies? Is how do you keep 3 babies safe? And aside from the usual, childproofing your home that everyone does,
Sure.
there are some unique challenges when you have 2 or 3 or more infants and let's say there's a fire and you need to get out of your house quickly.
Right.
You might think, okay, well, they're tiny. I could kind of carry everybody and go, but then how are you going to open a door?
Right.
So what I tell a lot of families is just keep a laundry basket.
Brilliant.
You can put a blanket in it, keep it underneath the crib.
Who doesn't have a laundry
There's a
basket?
fire, oh no.
That's right.
You got everybody. You can hand them off.
That's perfect.
To rescue personnel if you
and
need
you
to.
can crawl with your babies in a basket.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can
it sounds
crawl.
silly, but you can push it, you can crawl.
can.
You're supposed to drop and crawl anyway. 'cause
You have a
they-
hand free to open doors.
Perfect.
If for some reason you did have to be evacuated out of a second floor or
Right.
3rd floor window, you could hand the entire basket to someone who's coming up a ladder and they can
course.
hold under one arm
That's
instead of
brilliant.
having to take
Love
multiple
that
trips
tip.
giving each baby in and out.
I love that tip. All right,
So that's why
perfect.
they're babies in a laundry basket.
That's right. I love babies in a laundry basket.
The second piece to keeping pretty much a newborn, but anyone safe, is learning basic CPR skills
Okay.
And first aid training. Now, some families will do that through hospitals. Some families put it on their to-do list and then the babies come early and it never happens.
Sure.
So one of the services that we offer, actually it's going to be a very new service,
Oh, good. That's
is
exciting.
doing CPR training in your house.
Okay.
So that, the excuse of, well, I have 3 babies, how am I
Right.
going
How am I-
to schedule
right.
time to get to a class and
Right.
feed them and everything? That's fine. Stay in your pajamas. You can feed a baby. We'll go through the whole thing.
Fantastic.
Just so that you feel comfortable dealing with not only the day-to-day,
Smart.
but,
Yes.
an extraordinary circumstance.
Okay. All right. So now we're going out with our babies, and we want to walk around and maybe even do some laundry and some housework with our babies. So you're going to
Sounds
show us how to hold them and carry them.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, one thing that anyone who's spent any time around a newborn knows is that they hate to be put down.
Yes.
There's actually an Australian study that was done in the 90s that showed that the general feeding, diapering, soothing of a newborn, if you have a set of twins, takes about 125 hours a week. And for triplets, takes about 186 hours a week.
Okay.
184.
More. Okay.
There are 168 hours in a week. So that leaves no time for
Anything.
anything.
Right.
So let's say, I don't know, you want to eat something.
Yeah.
But the babies don't want to be put down.
You might want to brush your teeth or something
Basic.
for yourself. Yes.
A wrap is a really great way to carry newborns because not only does it keep them close, they like to snuggle, it also gives them that secure swaddling feeling as opposed to if you're using a structured carrier, which older babies might like. But a newer baby is not going to like that dangling sensation with their legs kind of flopping around.
Okay.
It's tricky to wear 3 at a time.
Okay.
But it's pretty easy to tandem wear with 2 small newborns, so that's what I'll demo today. And then if you are wearing 2 and you happen to have additional babies, you still have hands free to just hold them.
Okay.
So the first thing you want to do is find your center, which
All right.
on most wraps are going to be marked for you.
Perfect.
And we're going to wrap that all the way around.
Yep.
And let's
I
see.
remember doing this,
Now,
but not with 2.
one of the other great things about using a carrier like this, a wrap, is that it's not sized. So
Okay.
a partner can do the same
okay.
thing. You don't have
Perfect.
to buy
Right,
more
you just
equipment.
size it for your own.
Yeah, you size
Okay.
it every time you use it. So now we're going to tuck these rails inside
Okay.
this pouch.
Yep.
So, done all right?
Don't worry about it.
And we're going to crisscross to make an X. Now, it seems super complicated the first couple times you do it. But if you practice even with stuffed animals or dolls,
Yeah.
you can quickly get a hang of it. Now, right now, it's kind of floppy. So you're going to want to pull on the shoulders.
Tighten
And
it
then
up.
pull it there, tighten up. And then depending on how much extra fabric you have, you can just keep
so
wrapping
comfortable.
it. It is pretty comfy. The other thing is it's really
Fashionable,
great
too.
to be
Look at
able
me.
to do skin to skin.
I'm gonna wear this out.
You can do skin to skin care with newborns pretty easily.
Okay.
And you could even, if you need to go to the mailbox, most of the important things are covered if you're wearing,
Exactly.
say, a nursing bra underneath.
Right.
Nobody really has to know. So you get that set up, you're nice and snug, and now you have essentially 2
Couple-
pouches.
There you go.
So you take baby number 1,
Okay.
and you're gonna tuck baby number 1 under the bottom strap. So
Okay.
there you go. Now with newborns, they like to keep their legs in this froggy position. So this carrier is a really good way of maintaining that. So you tuck them in. You want them nice and tight, nice and high. Now these babies aren't the best to demo this, but you want to make sure that the airway stays open. So you want the baby's chin to be parallel
Right.
or tipped up a little bit, so parallel to the floor a little higher. And you want them to
Okay.
be up high enough on your chest that you could lean down and kiss
Right.
them. If they get kind of further down,
Oh, that's a good
then
way
they're
of
going to start
thinking about it.
slouching. Yeah, so they're going to be close enough to kiss.
You are so cute.
So we've got this
Okay.
buddy all snuggled up.
Yes.
We can put baby number 2 on the other side.
Okay.
And a good thing, they came with 9 months or however many months of practice being close quarters. So usually most babies aren't too opposed to being
And
snuggled
you know
with
what
their
I think
sibling.
too, and then this is something that you said in the first segment. You are available to not only teach people how to do this, but also just to let them know that nobody's born knowing how to do this.
Oh, no.
You need to practice this.
Yeah.
Everyone, you're going to be okay.
Everyone's a beginner.
Everyone
at
is a
one point, yeah.
beginner, right? And you have more stresses than other people do. So give yourself a break, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So now this way you can.
this is really comfortable.
You can go for a walk. You can do
Right.
yoga. You can eat. Although I will
Sure.
say, you might want to put a napkin down on top. There was one day that I was wearing my son, and I looked down. I was like, oh my God, he has this weird rash on his head. What's going on? And it was Parmesan cheese. So.
Nice.
So
you can just lean down and
It was like a snack for later.
Okay. Poor babies. So we were talking in the break There are a couple of questions. I asked you at the beginning of our first segment if you had multiples in your family, and you said something really funny that I think is probably mostly in people's mind about IV and doing IVF. Doing IVF. I think that's the default when you see people. But you shared a great story. If you would share that with our viewers too.
Yeah, especially if you are kind of out and about with 2, 3, 4 babies.
That are obviously the same age.
Yeah, everybody comes over.
Yeah.
So you do get some strange questions. A lot have to do with how they were conceived. Some of them go right to the, were they IVF? Did you have fertility assistance? Which I don't generally mind talking about with someone if, they come up to me and say, this is what I'm going through. Did you have the same deal? But I don't want to just kind of talk about it with random people I meet at the grocery store.
It's a personal thing. So what if you could say something to people that have no idea about multiples and have never experienced multiples and are curious, because it does come from a level of curiosity.
Right, it is a novelty.
Right, it's a novelty. What would you suggest that people say to families that do have multiples? What's an appropriate thing for them to say?
I mean, anything you would say to a family with one baby, just congratulations, your babies are beautiful.
Right.
You get the
instead of focusing on the multiples.
Right. You
just
get some
focus
really
on the celebration of life.
Yeah, really weird comments. I've been asked if we had sex 3 times in one night.
Oh my! Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's. You would be amazed the things people will just ask, or how they were born physically. I was like,
okay.
Can talk about my genitals once you tell me your name, and then we're going. You get lots of weird questions. And then the comments that for me have been kind of the most upsetting is the people that come and be like, oh God, I'd kill myself if I had 3 babies.
Oh no! That's
really sad.
extreme.
You didn't need to share that,
no.
especially
because you do have 3.
I do, right? And what if I'm
in
having a really rough day? Like that could be what potentially pushes somebody over the edge. Or if once the kids start to get old enough, they'll ask, they'll be like, well, why did they say that? Like, who knows? So just,
so
don't treat you any differently than any other person.
That
and hopefully you're not going to ask kind of rude, probing questions to people with 1 baby.
Well, maybe they are those type of people that do.
Hopefully not.
Yes, no. You having this resource for families is so critical within our community. So thank you for establishing this. Thank you for being with us today. It's been so much fun and a real pleasure. We had a lot of laughs on camera and off camera. So thank you for sharing your journey with us and reminding us that there's a lot of support if we really need it. So
thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. Please remember to follow, like, and subscribe to Woman2Woman Today on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube so you don't miss a show. Thanks to the entire team at Access Framingham, especially Shavarsh Morrissey and Francesca Cerruti Harris and Meredith. Thanks also to Jess Friswell, our assistant producer. I'm Jen Maseda, your host of Woman2Woman Today. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time, where we hope to inspire you.